In 1945, Clement Attlee was elected Prime Minister, but faced a dire economic situation. Britain had won the war, but debt was at 250% of GDP, a financial Dunkirk. But what would the new PM do? Do some Cameron Osborne austerity? Or invest, heal and rebuild a victorious Britain? Attlee had just defeated Winston Churchill, arguably Britain's most famous politician. But many Britons remembered the aftermath of World War I, plagued by unemployment and spending cuts. People felt 1945 was time for a fairer country that actually helped its heroic men and women, not one built on the tired status quo. Attlee walked into number 10 with an economy running on fumes. But this was keep calm and carry on Britain, and Attlee got to work rebuilding a more equitable nation. Keynesianism was in vogue, the idea that governments could stimulate demand and growth through spending. Presumably there was a financial journalist somewhere talking about investor confidence and spook markets, next to an oversized graph. Attlee secured loans from the US and Canada. The Marshall Plan would come later, and got nationalising. Coal, railways, steel, gas, electricity, and the Bank of England all came under state control, but sausages didn't. As you know, you can't always have everything. But Attlee's most famous legacy was establishing the National Health Service in 1948. All this happened while Britain was still rationing meat, bread, and optimism. But Attlee also prioritised the UK's children and extended Churchill's plan for free milk in schools in 1946. The policy was cut back in 1971, when a certain Margaret Thatcher, as Education Secretary, limited it to under sevens. Attlee increased taxes on the wealthy and business to fund his rebuild, capitalising on Britain's post-war solidarity. Attlee also restored the BBC's editorial independence after the war. This gives the BBC the freedom to give coverage to all political parties. Anyway, Attlee's economy started growing again as the country went on a house-building binge. Life expectancy slowly increased as the NHS made people happier, healthier, and more productive, with big improvements in infant and child survival. Meanwhile, the UK exported coal, steel, textiles, machinery, cars, and dry humour to aid its recovery. This was the post-war consensus, with the Overton window unrecognisable from where it is today. If Attlee had been a young, fresh-faced MP today, he likely would have lost the Labour whip faster than you could say cuts to winter fuel payments. Attlee was a former lawyer who had come from a wealthy family, but his politics changed after seeing poverty firsthand. He was very effective, if a bit unspectacular, almost like the nation's hot water bottle. Despite resorting to rationing and price controls, he refused to shift from his ambitious public spending. He kick-started a national renewal that oversaw a rise in living standards, the birth of the welfare state, and people under 30 actually being able to afford a house. Yes, the UK today faces faster-moving global bond markets than Attlee did, but the current government could still fund investment through land value and wealth taxes, reducing its reliance on issuing gilts and the need to relentlessly appease the markets. Recent British governments have prioritised market confidence over public investment, and crucially, international investors actually prefer politically stable countries with happy, educated, and healthy workforces with good infrastructure, as these suggest steady growth and lower risk. Rivers without sewage in them don't exactly hurt either. Attlee's rapid social democratic reforms dragged Britain out of wartime ruin and into a golden era, establishing the NHS, expanding education, and rewriting the social contract to put equality, dignity, and opportunity at the heart of British life. Thanks very much for watching.